Hello everybody, welcome back to episode 7 of my advanced tutorial series for Dwarf Fortress. In this Let's Play gameplay series, I'm building a nice and tidy fortress with you, explaining everything, exploring everything quite thoroughly, and today's big topic will be finally conquering those caverns. You know, it is about time that we're gathering all those tasty resources from down here. And most importantly, this is the lowest layer of my first mining probing experiment. When we go this direction, follow these ramps downstairs, even further here. We hit a magma pool, and this is one of the most valuable resources a dwarven society can tap into. Magma is giving you the ability to smelter stuff without needing any fuel, and that's a great thing. That's also an enabler for all manner of different shenanigans. Anyways, more about that later. For today, our first important goal is to establish a foothold here. So whenever you want to go and establish a base camp in the caverns, I found the following strategy quite helpful. I always look for a spot where if I flick upstairs, I immediately hit solid ground. In this scenario, we have already hollowed out this. So here, that means if I build walls all around here and seal off these ramps with floors, this is a hermetically sealed environment that I can totally control. This is a really nice spot. In comparison, I have looked out another really nice spot over here. This is also a pretty nice little canyon. Zoom it out a little bit. This is a really small, cool, compact area. But if I flick upstairs now, I don't hit solid ground. It's 2 height levels here. And basically, even if I'd be walling off myself here, anything that can climb will just climb over the wall and be in there. So we either build a higher wall, but then there's still the thing, anything that flies can be a problem, but a 2-story wall would be solving that problem. But as you see here, we'd be building a lot of 2-story walls, and that would be a lot more complicated than the location here, where we basically are goodo with a couple of walls and a couple of floor pieces. Much less work. So really check out how close is the ceiling to the area where you want to do your entrance to the caverns. And as a nice bonus in this scenario, this is really not far away from the magma pools, so you know, it's really just a short trip. This is a really nice base camp, so later we can do our operations there. But so much about the preparation. So the first thing I want to do here now is, before I enter anything here, is I'm going to use the extra tunnels that we have here and carve my way in here and do a corridor like that. So this is going to be our breaching point. Our civilization currently has a big issue. We don't have any soldiers. The caverns are home to a lot of baddies. Couple of creatures that are native to the subterrane are innately hostile. So basically, when you open the caverns, be ready for good old-fashioned fun coming to your fortress trying to conquer it. So to avoid this from happening, safety precautions should be taken. So this corridor will be our safety precaution. So we're going to slap down a couple of good old-fashioned cage traps. I love cage traps because when you use them, they also give you the problem maker in a cage for you to toy around with. So we got a total of 5 cage traps here. So now I'm going to go for... Yeah, well, we don't go for the stonefall traps as of yet. I want to go for something better here. See, we got some bronze, and I figured that it would be fun to start working on some specific trap parts. You know, we got bronze, so let's make us some trap parts. So, bronze, what was it called again? Ah, well, we're looking over like this here. So, trap components, it's called, yeah, I just looking for these. So, we're going to go for some good old-fashioned axe blades. Alright, so bronze axe blades it is. Bronze axe here. Giant bronze axe blade. These are trap parts that we're going to use for the construction of a very, very deadly trap. You know, those stonefall traps, they're nice and dandy, but at the end of the day, they are not nearly as lethal as a fully locked and loaded weapon trap that has tons of components in it. So let's get back there and let's do a couple of, well, let's do the stonefall traps because we don't have much material available currently. So let's put up 5 stonefall traps. Then I'm going to put up yet another cage trap, you know, just in case that something is still alive after that. And here the last 2 spots we're going to reserve for the traps which we are currently forging the parts for. So next step, we're going to utilize bridges. You know, I might seem a little bit paranoid here, but only because I'm paranoid, that doesn't mean that they're not trying to kill you. So first off, I must here do this. So the bridge here is, if linked to a lever, kind of like think of it like a retractable wall. If a bridge is connected to a lever, you can flick the lever and then the bridge is flicked upwards and works exactly like a wall. It's nearly indestructible, and with bridge constructions like these, we are easily constructing kind of a airlock where we can create one-directional transport if we'd want to, and we also provide a lot of safety if there's ever a good reason to shut off access to the caverns, and believe me, there is more often than enough the reason to do so. We just need to flick a few switches and everything will be safe. These preparations are, for me personally, mandatory. Alternatively, you can of course just forge up some gear, get yourself some weapons, some armed forces together, and have some soldiers in the vicinity. Works just the same. 4 well-armed, well-trained dwarves are kicking butt towards basically everything that's in the first cavern lair, if there's not anything, any forgotten beasts or anything showing up like that. So that's an alternative. I'm just using this method here because we had quite the struggle obtaining metal. If we would have had metal earlier on, I think I would have maybe even went for a military approach, because with 26 people, we went with the lucky side of our first migrants. Quite often I end up with 19 or 18 population at that point, so you see, we would have had some extra hands for military, but not with that timing, not with the current situation. So we got to wait until these things are completed, because I am not going to go for a suicide mission here, breaching that without any safety precautions. Not before some traps have been established. So, but here's another deal. I went downstairs to this area here, and I came to a very, very, very pleasant summary. When I checked out the caverns here, check what happens if I flick upstairs. It is just the environment as I just have described to you a moment before, and with just the addition of a few walls following my cursor here, we can be. Oh, wait a sec. Oh no, I was eager. No, I was overambitious. This was open space. Damn. You see, it's easy to get confused here. It looks as if you could settle down here, but actually, here's the actual floor. So check out the info box to be not as dumb as me. But yeah, here's the corner that I was looking at. I knew I saw something. So this is the area. So if we go upstairs here, there's immediately that, and if you go downstairs, that's that. So I'm relieved that I'm not I was not hallucinating back when I discovered that area. So here we're going to go for a very, very similar trick. We're going to go for a safety approach, digging out a trap tunnel, securing the access and then going for some walls and the like, sealing off the perimeter. Here we're going to slap down some floors to make sure that nobody can crawl upstairs from here. And then we're going to secure that area as well. So we got some side projects, you know, while we're waiting for those traps to be completed. Be patient with those caverns. It is totally worth the wait, because if you ever get overwhelmed by something deadly out of the caverns, it's not in the end of the world by all means, but it is so avoidable, you know, by just doing some patient preparations. So this corridor here will be the same thing as we had it before, with the slight difference that I actually wanted to keep that one here alive, because I want to put the seal-off bridge right here. My systems always come with a bridge to seal off things, you know. That's a tradition of mine, because I personally came to the conclusion that a bridge is such a handy, helpful thing to seal off baddies, and no reason not to. Okay, so this will take a moment, and this will be the entrance to the second layer of the caverns. The second layer of the caverns typically has a much higher frequency of valuable gemstone, and as I see here, spider silk. Spider silk can occur on the first layer of the caverns as well, of course, but I don't know, is it more common in the second layer? I had the impression of, but I'm not quite fond of that statement. Please let me know in the comments if you know more than me. So here we are doing the same procedure as before. We're going to slap down another bridge here as a safety precaution. And I think we better order some more cage traps, because I do eat these like candy currently. So we have a diplomacy statement. That means... let's see what that means. There we go. So it doesn't mean anything. Sometimes these pop up and I don't know why. Somebody please explain me if he or she does know. So petition for a bard. So robot armor knot. So these people are petitioning for entertaining your people. So we're going to look at this person for a second here. So first of all, if somebody is petitioning for the person of a bard, check out if their skills check out. Oh, this one is a legendary musician, so totally worth picking her up. Also, well, it is worth checking out if they have some weirdnesses going on for themselves, like almost no musical skills and military skills. These people might be spies from other civilizations trying to steal your stuff. What I'm trying to get down to is, if somebody is petitioning for entertainment, check out if they have some skills like poetry and the like, then you're usually good to go. But if they lack these completely, this is a blaring alarm signal that something's off with this petitionist. So this one is good. We're going to approve of her, and the fun part is she's going to stay there and be a bard for a while. But if these people stay there for a long enough period of time, they will ultimately petition for citizenship, and then you can transform them into regular citizens. And since this does happen with elven and human people as well, this way you can create a multi-species community, which is pretty cool. So sadly, currently we're going to be not able to breach through into the caverns as I want to, because as you see, not even the traps are being set up in time. That is a signal that our fortress is currently overburdened with tasks. So if that ever happens, there's no other thing to do than be patient and start planning and start looking at art or something like that. If you have engraved or made something like that. Statues are always a good pastime activity to get to know your civilization better. But I'm going to go into these topics on a different episode. I think currently we're going to require more cages because I have ordered so many of them, and if I've learned one thing, then it is totally worth to have a few spare cages at any point of the game, simply because these cages, the moment they catch something, you need a new cage to reload the trap, and you've got to process those prisoners. And if you ever fail to do so, there is a backlog of filled cages, and most importantly, you will ultimately run out of cages and the traps might be no longer working. This is the hidden downside of cage traps, because, you can run out of ammunition, so to say, and when you do so, it is quite a pickle. So let's see. I am not happy with my current work speed of things, but yeah. You see, there's one stoneworker's workshop, so we might want to amp up the numbers here. And yeah, it's my typical early game situation where I feel like I'm asking too much of my fortress because my plans are already way past the development of the fortress. So if you ever hit that point, try to be more patient than me, or just accept that. As you see there, you just have to wait with some things. So since my stone products are not getting made in time, I'm setting up a couple of extra workshops here. So this layout here will be ultimately expanded with extra bays in these areas here, for example, with to make room for even more workshops. Ultimately, the most important thing is that the workshops can connect to the storage areas correctly. So a child has withdrawn from society. That's a sign that they want to build an artifact. So this is perfect, since we are right now forced to wait until the constructions are finished before we can continue our adventures. We're going to see what the kiddo needs here. So he hauled up a boulder of gneiss, and he's wheezing around. This is always a good sign, because as long as they're wheezing around, they have all the items they need to make their artifact. Problems arise at the very moment when they suddenly don't have the materials. Since this is a very diverse topic, there's just a lot of things that they require. We're going to hit this point quite often. So we were quite lucky. All the necessary materials were available, so let's see what the kiddo will make. So we got a artifact table here, by the way, that I didn't really check out in the last episode. So you see, a artifact table has an insanely high value. 5,000 bucks. Compare that to a regular piece of furniture. 10, 18. The value is increasing with quality. Those little marks here in front of the items are markers for quality. I'm going to dive deeper into that topic soon in the future, but for now, all I want to state out is that this artifact is insanely valuable. The wonderful thing about artifacts like these is whenever a dwarf interacts with an artifact, that means is in the room with an artifact and or interacts with it directly, a table is a wonderful example for that, they are going to be happy. And that's why we're going to set up that artifact table here into our dining room. Here, see, we can't set it up because the creator was friendly enough to donate it to the local government, and here we go. So, oh, what do we have here? We got ourselves a hostile here. So this guy is probably... Oh, well, I haven't had that notion before. I don't know. I think he was stealing something. It might be that we're... let's check his items. These people love to try and steal your artifacts. So, let's see. It doesn't seem like he actively got something. I don't know. So the thing is, Dwarf Fortress is creating very, very vibrant and differing worlds. Sometimes you won't have trouble with spies and thievery at all. Sometimes your world will be teeming with necromancers. Sometimes you will have no crime at all because you are leading a fortress of willy-nilly peace-loving dwarves. Sometimes they will murder each other. This game has a fascinating depth of different things to create, and therefore, you know, I cannot explain everything even in one series, so I'm doing my best, guys. I'm doing my best. So, the trap parts have been completed. The bad part is they're being hauled. You see, they got these markers here, so we cannot build the traps yet. Because whenever something is marked with a marker like that, it is not available for the construction menu. So I really don't know what they're doing. I hope they're going to stop with it at some point. But maybe, well, let's try it. Maybe I'm wrong. So let's get back down here and let's construct that weapon trap. So we got to pick up a mechanism. Ah, yeah, they are all available. Wonderful. And you can pack up to 10 weapons in there. You can also pack regular weapons in there. It's an interesting way to recycle old weaponry that you get from various raids and the like. But oh yeah, look at those. They were busy. Wonderful. But all in all, these weapon traps can be loaded with gear. Yeah, there I was, or with these handcrafted trap pieces. As far as I know, the trap pieces are more effective, but it really depends a lot on the quality of the gear. So my personal stance is it's a wonderful way to get rid of excess junk to make these these weapon traps, or in this scenario, sometimes it's also worth to create a couple of parts to just get the job done. All right, but speaking about getting the job done, we can now finally set up something to attach levers to. So the first thing that I want to do is, let's see, we got this as our entry point. I want to make sure that we can safely seal off ourselves here if anything woozy happens. So here we go. Another little bridge. Don't be too this 3 white thing is to enable myself to widen the staircase if necessary. If ever we want to have heavy traffic here. And also I need to seal off this thing because you can otherwise move diagonally. That would be an issue. So this area, this here will be connected with a town center. These down here I will connect at the site itself, because we're going to set up ourselves a bit of a base camp down here. That's something I love to do when I breach to the cavern layers, to go for small base camps. So I personally hate to have long commutes in my fortresses, and therefore we're going to have one base camp down here. The larger room that I just excavated will be the barracks, and the smaller room here is going to be basically a dining hall where we store food, drink, a couple of tables, chairs, and a couple of mugs, so the soldiers down here don't need to go back home into the fortress just to go for their day-by-day living. I won't give the soldiers a bedroom in the barracks, because I personally like to have them in the city core sleeping. You could, though, set up a couple of bedrooms here in the vicinity, or set up the beds in the barracks. There's a lot of different ways to pull off the same trick. So, most importantly, though, we're preparing the area now, and for barracks, I'm going to put down a proper flooring yet again, because our soldiers will be training in here. The more beautiful the environment, the less grumpy they'll be, because Beautiful environments provoke good thoughts. I'm not quite sure how much that applies to barracks though, but I know that it does apply to dining halls and these things. Let me know if you know how it's with barracks. I was not able to get proper information about that question, but I had the impression that generally a high value of fortress, a high value of the environment is making the dwarfs quite happy. So the first lever is being done. We're going to link that lever to this bridge. Sometimes I do name these things. You can rename them. But in this scenario, we're just going to use the show linked buildings functionality. This is a little bit of a lazy approach because there is one downside to this. If ever any of the parts get toppled over, you don't know what the lever was belonging to, or where named parts have the advantage that, for example, if this is called like airlock inner, airlock outer, airlock cavern 1 inner, airlock cavern 1 outer, with these things, if you come back after a couple of weeks or something like that, it's much easier to understand your machinations, because believe me when I say those fortresses get quite confusing over time, and things that might be totally easy to understand now can become quite cryptic when you come back to this place in a month or two. Just saying. So currently we're seeing the works getting done here. It's now the early spring of the year 2, and that means it's only a short matter of time until the first reinforcements will arrive and our population count will go up. So here we got all that prepared. This downstairs here isn't as yeah, it's okay, they're getting there. Here downstairs we're going to do the same thing. We're going to set up a barracks there. I just haven't decided fully yet where I'm going to incorporate the barracks, because I somehow thought that we would set up shop at this corner here, as you might have noticed, but well, everything will be fine. A Elven caravan has arrived. They come with a freaking giant elephant. Wow, you know, as if an elephant wasn't impressive enough. When it comes down to elves, they are quite wicked people. They first come to your place to trade, and then they come to your place to set up rules. When elves come to trade with you, never ever to try to trade with them anything made out of killed animals, shells, bones, leather, anything like that. They hate this stuff. And nothing made out of wood. Safe materials are stone and gemstone. Actually, you can trade quite safely with these dudes when it comes down to gemstone. And the elves in general offer the most interesting thing they offer in their portfolio, in my humble opinion, is that they have a tendency to bring quite interesting animals in cages. Let's see what we're going to find here. We struck bauxite. Oh, what a surprise. So I'm going to introduce Elven trade here as the last thing for today's episode. And, well, I think we're on a good way here. I haven't opened the caverns yet, but we're basically just one step away from that. The only reason why I didn't breach the wall there was only because I am so short at workers right now that I feel a little bit worried about opening the caverns right now, because I want to set up the walls and the floors as fast as possible. Therefore, we're going to make sure that everything will be in place. I'm going to show you in the next episode how to make sure that everything is in place, you know? Show you the menus, how to read it out and like, but let's get on over to the elves. So, here you see they're selling all manner of grown items. Elves are able to grow wood into shapes. They're not cutting it. They consider it murder what we do here. To the trees, I mean. I'm not making this up. For them, we are murdering trees. So you can buy all manner of nuts here, alright? And as you see here, leaves and fruit. pretty good. Elves are really good for food items, but yeah, this time they didn't bring any cages with them. Like I said, sometimes they bring quite interesting exotic animals, but this time they didn't bring anything interesting. I'm not going to trade with them because we are really good at food and drink. Oh yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, let's set that up. It's time to set up a limit to that. So I'm going to stop producing these as soon as we have 1,000 units of drink. Because, you know, otherwise your stockpiles will be teeming with pots, barrels, and nah, it's not necessary. It is okay to have a certain stockpile of things, but you know, overdoing it doesn't serve anybody. Alrighty, so we're going to continue next episode to set up shop down here. I'm only waiting for the reinforcements, and with the breaching of the caverns, we're also going to start manufacturing the materials for the military. So we're going to set up some squad quite soon, because I personally like to have soldiers as soon as the third migration wave hits town. Alright, but enough about that for today. I'm going to be super happy to greet you guys on the next episode yet again. Feel free to leave me your comments down below. I always love to hear from you. A thumbs up on this episode helps a lot to make it more visible to other people, and as usual, a subscription to this channel is a dirty cheap way of supporting it, and if you hit that bell button, you even get notified of all the new stuff that I'm doing. Playlists are down there to the rest of the series, to a beginner's tutorial series, if this is all here a little bit too technical and overwhelming, and a list to smaller tutorials if you don't want to watch a Let's Play list. There you go. Anywho, I thank you for watching this video, and I hope you're having a good time. Until next time.